Yeah, a question here, but.
Soup kitchen thing must have resonated with lots of folks. Mine applies to a different business, a nonprofit business, if you will. I run a large Georgetown alumni club, and we struggle with the same thing. Frankly, we can get people to come in and serve the soup at the soup kitchen, but I have all these highly skilled people who I would like to find a way to transition them into a more productive way of volunteering, and I'm not able to really bridge that gap. I think it's also something that's true at many other companies, so I'd be interested in your input.
Why don't we, there actually are some mechanisms, I'd be happy to talk with you about them, but it is very difficult. You're quite right, there isn't a lot of merit matchmaking and brokering out there, and outside of the companies themselves doing it for their own people. But you're absolutely right, there's a gap there that some are trying to fill, but not particularly well. Question here?
My question's based on Karen's comment about the recipients of the cell phones in Rwanda. And I found it very interesting that you had the end users basically coming up with new ways and new technologies to use your product and help people. And I've been reading a lot in places like Fast Company, Fortune Inc. about how there's a lot of efforts to get people to design new products that actually help people on the ground to live better lives and to, you know, instead of designing new luxury items, they're really designing things that help people read in rural countries in the middle of the night or, you know, better lives. So I was thinking, is there sort of like a corporate philanthropy 2.0 where you're somehow opening up your products or your software or your technologies to help ideas bubble up kind of from the users or from, you know, your constituents, and then come up with new ways to help people? Almost like the way you have the Apple Store, where you have all these designers encouraged to develop new applications. And so you get all of these new users and all of these new applications. I could almost
That's a
envision
great
something
idea.
like that.
Does anyone have any examples of that?
We have a program called Innocentive, which has been put out on the internet, and we put out questions, scientific questions that need an answer that we haven't been able to solve ourselves within our company. So we throw it out on the internet, and we give it a bounty. If you can come up with a solution that we think is, you know, could be helpful advancing the, you know, the answering to the problem, then we would provide a payment for that for the individual. So we've gotten a lot of input from folks from Russia, India, China. You know, they're highly scientific communities that, or, you know, countries and cultures that want these opportunities to give their ideas and be a part of the discussion. So that's been something we have tapped a little bit, not exactly as you're saying, but.
And does the 1,000 Points of Light Alliance do that, try to grit the ideas up from the grassroots level?
It does, especially with the hands-on network that Michelle Nunn had founded with all the local volunteer centers. They reach out to the community and elicit new ideas and responses.
Thank you.
I'd just like to say, come up afterwards and let's exchange cards so that we can do something even more formal.
Great, thank you. Yes?
I'm curious, because a lot of the solutions that you're providing for the ground need a lot of infrastructure. So how much of your engagement in the countries you're working in is with the government, and how much are you taking away responsibilities from them in providing the solutions, and how have you balanced what they're responsible for and what you're providing, and is that a part of your long-term strategy?
To Motorola, integral piece. We work hand in glove with the governments, foreign ministries, health ministries. It is essential, and it helps as a part for what we do to build infrastructure within each of those countries.
How do you hold them accountable for their part of the program?
Question was, how do we hold them accountable? And it's really a shared responsibility, and so we partner with the government, and it's really a shared accountability.
Yes.
Anna Brodkiewicz from Center for International Private Enterprise. I would like to quickly go back to the initial remarks of Dr. Dybel on how, in redefining the paradigm of corporate social responsibility, we should be focusing on also on long-term business opportunities. And I would like to throw it out for that I think we all agree in the long term, creating the best business opportunity is to encourage the development and the strengthening of institutions that allow businesses to flourish. And of course, not just foreign businesses, multinationals, but more importantly, domestic businesses and entrepreneurs. And companies can do that by improving governance, both internally through better corporate governance, ethical codes of conduct, and so on, and through working to improve governance in countries where they operate through working with local businesses, other stakeholders, and NGOs, and so on. So I would like to ask for the panel's thoughts on, is there a growing understanding that that should also be an important part of good corporate citizenship, and how that change can be accomplished?
Any thoughts on that? This area has largely been one that governments engage in, building institutions, legal structures, and governance systems. It's not something that corporations have become involved in, but there is an increasing effort to involve them because there's a lot of expertise there. Richard, did you want to say anything? And I'm afraid we're going to have to...
Just a quickie. Walmart went to China in December and held a seminar on how it was going to conduct its business in the next 5 years and the expectation of its suppliers. And so it said, here's how you have to do environment. Here's how you have to do your hiring and your training and employment of people. This is the expectation. Lay out your business plan accordingly. So you have to go to market to lay out that kind of approach.
That's a good example. I'm afraid we're out of time. I'd like to turn it over. Howard, are you wrapping up, or are we just... So thank you all for your questions. We'll be here, and thank you to the panel for an excellent session.